After standing in line at the long line at the fully charged event on Saturday, February the 1st, one of the first things I came across was the Rivians, the R1S and the R1T. An interesting thing about these particular vehicles is they're actually pretty nice, but they come with you can get a 180 kilowatt hour battery pack with them. And I found out a little bit more about that. They have 7,776 cells in the 180 kilowatt pack. If you were to divide that out, that's 5.5 amps per cell. And the only thing that can do that is a 2170. What 2170s average between 5.0 or 5,000 milliamp to 6,000 milliamp, and they're right down the middle, depending on chemistry, of course, of the battery. They're very nice. They're well built. I think they'll be quite popular, and they have a motor which you'll see shortly that is on each side of the motor is two motors about the same size as the original Model S motor, and on top of that motor sits the inverter. I did get a little bit of an interior shot of the R1T. I think this will probably be the biggest seller of this truck. It's very nice. I think they start out about $69,000, but I don't think that's for the 180 kilowatt. But I'm sure there's plenty of room. I think the back is like a 6-foot bed, but looks high quality construction, very nice paint job, nice wheels. I think it'll be a very popular truck. I'm sure they'll be very successful when they start marketing this. As you can see, bed liner, and I think they have a 220 air compressor, 240 volts. There's the motor. Interesting. Very small, compact, and I'm sure it's quite efficient. We're looking at an Arcimoto three-wheeler, and the FUV stands for Fun Utility Vehicle. It's a two-seater, and it has a top speed of 75 miles an hour, 100-mile range supposedly, and would be a nice commute little vehicle if you lived in a city like that. The next bike, there were several of them there, but this is a Lightning, Harley-Davidson Lightning, a $30,000 bike, but the seat looks totally uncomfortable for riding long. I think it only has like a little over 100-mile range. As we go through here, as I mentioned, there were over 4,000 people that came to the Saturday Fully Charged Live event, sold out. And it's very crowded, very noisy. The main theater is in this same hall here on the opposite end. And I would imagine with all the booths and all the talking, it would be very difficult. I did not go there. I went to the Mega Theater, which is a smaller theater. And that was also very, very crowded. But as we come around here, we get to see some now YouTubers. We get to see Matt Farrell of Undecided. He's coming up here next. Interesting. Subscribe to him. He's an interesting person, very technically oriented, which is nice. And he has a lot of interesting things on his YouTube channel. The next thing is Kenneth Boker of EV Revolution. I am subscribed to him. He talks about EVs in general, not just about Teslas, but EVs in general. He has a Nissan, and he loves it. As we walk around here, we're going to come back to the Arcimoto event. You're going to find these vehicles are quite well made. And I think they run around $16,000. And here we come to Zach and Jesse of Now You Know. And they got to ride around the Arcimoto the night before with Jehu Garcia, one of my favorite YouTubers. And you can subscribe to Jehu's channel and also to Zach and Jesse's channel. And you get to watch that little of Jesse driving around that Arcimoto. That was interesting. But this was one of the most interesting things of the whole show. And that is the EV1 made by General Motors. I believe it was made between 1996 and 1999 as a California compliance car. They had real emissions stickler there, and so General Motors came out with this car so they could sell their bigger gas guzzling vehicles, which I own a couple of them. I have a 1-ton vehicle that I actually really like. It's a diesel, so it's not all bad, but they crushed all these cars except for maybe one or two, and this was one that survived the crush. It's in a museum, and I understand it's even operational. And it's nice for a 90s car. It was 2-passenger. And the next thing that we come to is Nikki from Transport Evolve and her crew. She's got a nice YouTube channel also. I think you would enjoy that too. She's basically non-political, and she talks about EV news in general. And I recommend her channel also. And the next thing we come to is a Taycan, the Porsche Taycan. And I wish I had taken pictures of the side of the vehicle, where the tires, the brakes are. If you saw the brakes, you realize that this is a performance vehicle. It's not comparable to a Model 3 Tesla or anything like that. It is designed for performance. And here we have the Harley-Davidson Lightning again, and he's going to rev it up, and that thing goes over 100 miles an hour. And I'm sure it's quite fast. But they're revving it up on this. I wouldn't want it to break loose. But that will be out. We're going to go inside the Mega Theater next.
Absolutely amazing turnout. Thank you guys so much for coming. When I heard I was on day 1, 11 a.m., across from Robert, and the introductions, I figured it'll be like 3 people, and it'll be great. But this is amazing. My name is Ricky. I run a YouTube channel called 2-Bit Da Vinci. We talk about the future of technology, energy, and transportation. I have my team back there in the very back. Chris, Juan, Rohan, you guys can raise your hands. There they are. People are interested. They're like, oh wow. And you show them like the car driving itself and 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, and it's a really easy sales pitch. And my neighbor's wife wants to buy a Tesla Model 3. It happens really quickly. So it's the perceived value.
Do you listen to that podcast? Oh, okay. It's long, it's fun. You just gotta chit chat.
Hello. So I guess I just start?
Yeah. Go for it.
Good lord, this is insane. So everybody was like, dude, your videos get like 100,000 views. I'm like, yeah, but I don't see the people viewing them. My goal today, I'm going to set the bar as low as possible. Just get through this. Well, first of all, I want you, this is super cheesy, but give yourselves a hand for being here this weekend. Yeah. And now give me more applause, thank you. No, I really think that what we're doing here is actually something really important, and the fact that you are a part of it is amazing, and you should feel good about that. So let's just start there. How about that? Also, the fact that you're here seeing me is interesting, because I was looking at this thing last night, and like every single one of these panels and talks, they're all on a specific topic, you know, like how far ahead is Tesla, hyper-changing energy, you know. And mine is just Answers with Joe Live. Come watch the monkey dance, people.
You know, I like tinker. I do all kinds of stuff having to do with the renewable technologies, right? And I'm primarily a YouTuber, right, these days. But I work on cars all the time, and some of my major projects have been in cars. So, since I am a better YouTuber, I think, than I'm a presenter, I have edited a small video that, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'd like to show you instead of tell you what I do. And I have made sort of a collage of the last 10 years of what I've been doing when it comes to having to do with electric cars, right? And so I want to show it to you that, and then after that we'll come back and talk about creating the perfect classic car, right? So let's watch a video. Selling Teslas yet, other than the little roadsters, which were too small and too expensive. And so I thought, well, that's not a car for me. So then, like everything I do, I thought, well, if I can't buy one, then I must make it myself, DIY it, right? And so that's why I started doing my car, right? And so I want to thank some of the people that were here in the video are here, like that Michael Bremas somewhere here. You know, that was his shop. I went to work with him for a while there, and I did a couple of conversions after I did mine and stuff. I did one with David Renardo. He's sitting right here too, and he just told me this morning that Gia is been running all this time, right? The customer is happy with it and drives it every day, trouble-free. And so that's the cool thing about these conversions and these systems. My conversion is, by now it's 7 years old, and I've taken it out of my original Samba and now I put it into another vehicle, which I intend to drive for the next 10 years, right? So that's the cool thing. So let's talk about creating the perfect classic car. Like I said, I don't think I'm really this good at doing these things, so I've written a few bullet points here to help me, you know, so that I can not lose my place here, right? And start rambling on. Number one is you have to love the car, right? What makes a perfect car for a conversion? And one of these is that you have to love the car. The reason I say that is because maybe you couldn't see it in the video there, right? But converting a car is quite an endeavor. It's a lot of time, and traditionally it's been a lot of money. And so you really, you really have to love the car. You have to invest it.
And out of curiosity, how many of you here are familiar with me on my YouTube channel? I was expecting like 3 hands to go up, so that's awesome. So all of you should know what I'm probably going to do right now. It's probably going to, so strap yourself in. There's going to be a lot of information really quick, but I'll bang through this really fast, and then we can have a Q&A at the end. So for those of you, the few of you that don't seem to know who I am, I'm Matt Farrell. I'm a user interface and experience designer by trade. I've been doing that for over 20 years now. And I've always had a fascination with how technology works. I like to understand the how and the why it all comes together. You can just ask my mom. She can tell you a funny little story. That's me at 4 years old. I have vivid memories of being on the family room floor, taking her egg timer apart, taking the bell off, taking out the gears and little springs, and putting them methodically in front of me on the floor because I want to understand how it worked. And so, as you can imagine, with all of that across the floor, my mom coming in and finding me, it did not go over very well. I was 4 years old and couldn't put it back together. So, the main focus of my channel is around sustainable and smart technologies like electric vehicles, renewable energy, and smart homes. So those last two I'm focusing on today. And no matter what your motivations are, whether it's combating climate change or saving money, or both, there are some really amazing things you can do with smart homes to pull that all together. And I've got 5 areas that I recommend that you look into. So the number one, and this is for every person in this room that owns a home, number one thing you should do is get a professional home energy audit. And depending on where you live, this may cost a few $100, but if you follow through on the recommendations, it will pay for itself in no time flat. And depending on where you live, you may also have programs that can help you out. Now, I'm from Massachusetts, which has a program called Mass Save, and we can actually get a free assessment every year to see how our house is. And
People always ask me, how long does it take to charge your car? Right. And that's a really So I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and make a video explaining all that? That way when people ask, I can just point them to that video. So that's what I did.
I like to say the simple answer. Not yet. Hey Steve, how are you? I appreciate you coming down and seeing me and for watching the show and following it. Thank you very much for that. It means a lot.
Applause there. You didn't have to do that. With the Answers with Joe YouTube channel, with me is Tim Dunn!
Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut from Iowa? Sure, Iowa. With us, as always, is Ben Solons.
Hey-o! Ben Solons from the Teslanomics things. And what a show do we have here for us today, Timothy?
So this is pretty much going to go out to our patrons as a thank you to our patrons. So we're going to take a couple of their Why Don't They Just, if you listen to our show.
As you look at the stills from these trios, we got Tim Dodd on the left, Joe Scott in the middle, Ben Solons on the right. They have, it's called Our Ludicrous Future, and Ben Solons has a channel called Teslanomics. Very good channel. I highly recommend him. Tim Dodds has Everyday Astronaut, and Joe Scott has Answers with Joe. Joe is an interesting guy. He's very shy. I was surprised. He feels more comfortable behind a camera than talking to people. Very nice guy. Very nice guy. I was disappointed we didn't get to see Robert Llewellyn because he went home sick the day before I arrived. That was a big disappointment, but my main purpose was to talk to Jehu Garcia and ask him about my battery pack for my Bolt, how I could best utilize it. And I'm thankful I got the answers I needed. And so one of the things that was disappointing about it is that we didn't get a chance to do much on the inside because of all the people I wanted to go see in the Mega Theater. But I'm grateful for the time I got to spend with those guys and listen to them and get to meet them personally. I very much enjoyed going to Fully Charged Live. I got my next video would be on my trip back, my hellish trip back to North Dakota in my Bolt EV. Watch it. Thanks.